Are you ready to get provoked? You're listening to Can I Live, a show created to excite, ignite, and expose. Let's tune in with your host, R.W. Jones. All right, we are officially live. Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? Thank you for joining the Can I Live podcast. We are going live on Facebook right now. Let's see. Good morning, Miss Dr. Hope Muktarian.
Good morning, Raquel. Good morning to the outside world, listening audience. Good morning.
Amen. So today, let me just get to America's 2 trap houses. And today we're talking about, first of all, we need to just probably define, what a trap house is. Good morning, everybody on Facebook. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Today we are talking about America's 2 trap houses. America got 2 trap houses, number one. I know y'all think America got trap houses, in the hoods, but I've been doing some research because of my dear Dr. Muktarian here. And she's been wanting to do this episode for a while now. And, define for me what a trap house is.
Well, I'm going to take it from our dearest Ebonics, I would say. Thank God for the Ebonics dictionary.
Okay. Yeah, I've been looking at the Urban Dictionary for the word Ebonic, not for the word trap house.
Oh yeah, it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, that the Urban Dictionary says that the trap house is used to describe, it was originally used to describe a crack house in a shady neighborhood. And I believe the word actually they said the word has since been abused by high school students who like to pretend they're cool by drinking their mom's beer together and saying they were part of a trap house. But I when it first came on the scene, the trap house to me was the understanding that you could get trapped up or caught up in this house legally or illegally, shall I say. And so when you talk about the trap house, you're also talking about the criminal justice system that hems you up. It talks about the addictions and the illicit lifestyle that goes on in those houses. It's a chill house. It's the, just come through house. It's where nothing good is going on, that's for sure. And what's always amazing to me is that people know it's a trap, and they still go to it.
Right, which means that, if you go into the trap house, which some of the dictionary is like, trap means to catch something or prevent someone from escaping a place, or induce someone by means of trickery or deception to do something that they would not have otherwise done. Let's see. So if it's either one or two things. You either go into the trap house deliberately because you know right well what you're about to get into because you were part of the getting into, or you can't even help yourself but be lured away to this place. And so I know that, while we call trap houses, and what was interesting, I saw that trap houses were predominantly, they stayed through public housing communities because it was a central place of business, of course, for drug dealers, but it also had a captive audience. It had access to the people that it needed access to. And it was like, not inconspicuous, but a lot of public housing communities were known for the whole trap house thing. And now they're saying like trap houses is then took over middle class and and upper class areas. Don't ask me how. So there's messed up trap houses, and there's, you know, sophisticated trap houses. But we're talking today about America's two trap houses.
Absolutely.
Because she is the originator, the creator of the word trap house. Maybe we never called it that. We just fell into it. But when you're looking at the prison system, the very, very, very first institution that was created to hold and snare and trap, not let us go.
Sure.
That system in itself. And then you couple it with another system that we, in the name of affordable housing, free housing, and we want to look at these two systems and say, over these next 2-3 parts, how different are these systems? How similar? What are the similarities? What are the differences? And why do they, or have they, or why have you, and I agree, but why have they gotten the name trap houses? And what is it about America that indulges in this type of behavior? How are we complicit in, fortifying these trap houses, one? And then at the end of the day, what are we supposed to do about it? So we'll work our way all the way down there. But let's talk about first the prison system. And while we already know what it is, we know what it is. I think people have lost track with, and people think that you do crime, you go to jail. Jail is for bad people that do bad things. And Americans are okay with knowing that not only do we have the largest incarceration population in the whole entire, globe, but we're okay with that fact. You do bad, you go to jail, even though our legal system does not make sure that all bad people go to jail. It's really based on who and what you can prove. So let's talk about, I don't know how far back you want to go with the prison systems, how it was created. I'm sure we've all seen 13. We've seen these shows. We know the reality, but I don't know if we know how to get out of it. So take us to the first trap house, the intentions, or I would say, you like to say the intent.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for that backdrop, Raquel. When you start talking about this, I always love the propaganda that, our country portrays when it says we are home of the free and we're home of the brave. But we have the largest prison and incarceration system in the world. And that speaks in volumes more than your advertisement. It says that maybe we're not as free as we put off to be. You have immigrants who come here that are more freer than some of the people who are actually living here already.
True.
And so what has happened to us is, one of the things as a historian, and I think that's why you bring me on several occasions, is because of the factual and historical base that a lot of times we just get away from. We've washed ourselves out the shore so far away from the truth of what America really is until we wake up and we go like, well, so what is this? As if we woke up in the trap house. Like most people just woke up and was like, this is the house that I chose, that Jack built, and this is the one I would like to live in. And that is farthest from the truth. And if you do want to live in the trap house, then I would say to you that you have a mental illness. At this point, anybody who knows it's a trap and walks into a trap is one who has a mental illness, and you are broken and you need to be fixed. And I can tell you who broke you. Eventually, we have to go back to our forefathers who broke us from the beginning. And, it's the same argument that we've said on many occasions, Raquel, about who wants to stay on the plantation and die versus who wants to leave. Who feels compelled to run and who feels to come back the next morning. So when we talk about the original trap house, which is the prison system, we can't we can't do that in honor of talking about this subject matter without addressing how the prisons were built in the first place. And if we take it back real quick, we'll go right into slavery. We come out of slavery, we're emancipated under the Emancipation Proclamation, and immediately you have to ask yourself, what do we do with all of these slaves? You have 4 million people who now walk off their job on a strike forever.
Mm-hmm.
They're not coming back. The union, it was Confederate versus Union, but we're not talking about the unions that bring your jobs together. We're talking about union that gives you the right to leave forever and walk off this plantation or this prison, because that was the original prison. You couldn't leave.
True.
You couldn't marry. You could only breed when they told you to breed. They supplied everything. That was your welfare. They just transferred this over now to the states. And so now your state says, hey, we have to go back and and recapture these slaves. And what they did is they created a system whereby you were guilty by the color of your skin, like you were before. It's just that now you legally go back onto a plantation, whereby if you commit a crime, you go back to this place of private ownership, whereby the state leases you out to do work for these share planters or surplanters, as they were called, or plantation owners. So you're back where you started.
I'm trying to figure out, when was the 13th Amendment? I think it was the 13th Amendment added to the Constitution.
Would it not have been 1865?
13th Amendment, let's see. So when was that added? Was it
1865.
True. What is there, a song about that? You know, they used to make them damn songs and we had to sing it in school, especially about Christopher Columbus, who sailed the ocean blue.
Yes.
Santa Maria and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, you sounded real good. You sounded like you need a wig.
And I'm mad at them for teaching me that damn song. That stuff is still in my head, actually. That Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and she up there just with her damn doodaloo, damn cheerleading rackets. I'm pissed. Sailed the ocean blue. God damn.
Wait a minute, you're missing since. In 1492, he sailed the ocean blue. Please.
Yes. 1492, he sailed the ocean blue.
Yes. Big Daddy.
I hope they're not still teaching that in school.
Big Daddy. He was Big Daddy. He was coming home to roost. And
1492. So neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime, whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within. So then slavery became legal in the United States through the crime or punishment pathway.
Right. So then here we are, we're back. So all I have to do is convict you of a crime, or make anything that you do a crime. Walk across the street, smile at a white woman. The black codes were enforced. You couldn't be out past a certain hour. It was a crime for you to drink out of a water fountain that we told you not to. Everything became a crime. You were convicted of everything.
And let me ask you this. So back even in those days, even when you were convicted of a crime, you still then had to perform work. These people weren't just sitting in jail cells.
Absolutely not. You had to work. And that's because remember now, Massa lost 200 and 300 people at a time. You got emancipated, everybody walked off the job. What happened to his crops? They shriveled up to the ground. Who's gonna pick my cotton? I had 200 slaves, and now I have 0 employees. Can you imagine if everybody just walked out of Walmart and was never forced to come back? He couldn't hire nobody back.
So were the slaves then outsourced to the former slave masters?
Yes, they go back under this former slave masters because
they went across the street black.
Right, because yes, absolutely. So now the state convicts you, because remember, slaves didn't go to court. We were property. We didn't go to court as a slave.
So you were just automatically guilty.
You were automatically guilty, and your owner was your punisher. You were not allowed to go to court. You were not allowed to say he beat me too bad. You had no rights. You were a property, so you didn't go to court. You didn't go to court until we were emancipated and freed. Now, if you did any crime, the courts punish you, and they bring you back into servitude under your former slave owner, and you go back to the plantation. This time, we don't know who you belong to. We don't know what plantation you're on, because you belong to the state and not that individual. So where is he? We don't know.
So I need people to understand, because sometimes I can see people saying, oh my God, why are y'all still talking about slavery? Like, Jesus, can we move on from this bloody conversation? And
I wish.
I don't think we understand how much it still exists.
Right.
Even today, because if you talk about the intent, if you talk about the spirit of a thing, the intent of a thing, the seed, the nature of a thing. Sure. It's like planting an apple seed. It's a seed. It's an apple. It's going to grow an apple tree. A seed can only produce after its own kind. I remember Apostle McAllister used to always say that. So if you sow an apple tree, you will only get apples. You're not going to get oranges, grapes, bananas. If you sow apples, you're going to get apples. If you sow injustice, you're going to get injustice.
Right.
And we are shouting justice, justice to an unjust tree from the root.
Yes.
To an unjust system from the root. But we still shout justice. Give us justice. Give us justice. Give us justice. Give us. It sounds that rhetorical, because who the hell are you asking for justice from?
The injustice system. The injustice system. Which you're asking to be free from a slave owner.
Come on now.
You're asking to be free from a slave owner. The only way that you can be free from a slave owner is you walk off the plantation. Or you kill those that have you enslaved. And you were taught to honor your master, to serve your master. You were never taught to rebel against your master. You were never taught, you got to remember Nat Turner, before he even became a rebel, he was a preacher who went from plantation to plantation telling other slaves how to obey their master.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He was taught, he was given, because remember now, the only persons who were allowed to read and write were pastors, black ministers. And they were only given one sermon. Servants obey your masters.
Yeah.
So there you go. And somewhere along the way, him and God must have had a discussion. And it said, I think you're interpreting what I'm saying wrong.
Okay. Somebody got the message wrong.
Somebody got the message wrong. Like something just that is not clicking. And so that is where the transition for Nat Turner came about. So we have to talk about slavery, because slavery is not an era. It's not a moment in time. It's a way of life for some people. If they're not dominating, if they're not controlling, if they're not making strides against other people, they don't even know how to live. This is a competitive market.
So, for what do you say? I think we did just say, okay, I'm sorry, we have to talk about slavery again. I'm sorry. I wish I can reincarnate the word. Maybe we should say slave. Slave is like the new modern words. It's not, you're not a slave, you're a slave today. And so, and then maybe we can hear it better, because I know I was really like, oh my God, stop blaming slavery. I used to always say, stop blaming slavery. Like, what we doing today? However, if you're talking about this prison system that was created, and here we are, these indentured servants, you also said something that either you have to walk off the plantation. So if you know this is a trap, if you know the system was built to trap you, why do we go into the system? And I don't think you wake up and say, you know what, today I'm going to get crap beat out of me. by my baby father. And he gonna go into the system, and I might go back to the system, because I don't think we plan our lives out that far before we have to then just call the police, and then before you know it, somebody's in the trap. So how responsible are we by promoting the trap house? Because it is a trap house. The prison systems are a trap house for African Americans. That's why it looks the way it looks. Let's make it no big deal. But how much of that is our fault? Like, I understand you're going to tell us we traumatized. Master traumatized us. Okay, we traumatized. So were we just going to keep being traumatized? We just going to keep...
So let me ask you, are those who are trapped responsible for getting themselves out? Because just like they understand that they walked into a trap, do we not understand that they are trapped? Trap means trapped in every way. So if you know that they're trapped, do you actually expect them to untrap themselves if they willingly went into a place of captivity?
No, because if you got mouses, mini mouses, you got mice and rodents, and you set those little traps, right? You set the trap so that you would catch the mouse.
Yes.
And once you catch the mouse, you have no intentions on releasing the mouse. The mouse is either going down the damn toilet bowl or in the garbage, or it's going to die. That's the intention of trying to trap the mouse. It's not that, but I have seen when a mouse would be on that trap and they will work themselves out of getting away.
Sure.
So they do work themselves out of getting away from the trap themselves.
Well, you know, I think now the trap life has become a phenomenon. It's almost trendy, to be quite honest with you. I think, you know, and let me say this. Their trap is no different from our trap when we praise ourselves for being the first Black to do something. Or, you know, I look at the same trap mindset in church. Well, the devil had me hostage, but I made it out. The devil had me bound, but, you know, I think sometimes we glorify pain in our community so much until it becomes a banner of, so, you know, I have never seen a culture who glorifies pain and suffering and, you know, being trapped by the devil. And
but what about the fact that, nigga, what you talk about? I did 2 bids. I did like 18 years. Nigga, what? You like, and then your little 3 years.
My little 4 months was nothing to you. My little 2 days, you know,
that ain't nothing.
That won't nothing.
Till you down for like 10 years, dude. Till you dead, you don't know nothing. What you talk about? My daddy, I got shot 8 times in the mouth. Like, you gotta be like, who the one, the Jerry Lewis effed up kid marathon happening here. That's us.
Right, exactly. And we glorify. And then they give us a banner, you know. Don't let us get to the NBA and have a sad story. This, you know, they do the video straight from the trap house. They come straight, started from the bottom, now we here. Like, all of our language is from defeat, from, you know, like, it's not expected for us.
And you want to know something that's true? Because if you are African American and you cannot identify with the pain, people will probably think that you're not really like Black.
You're not Black. You have to be a part of the struggle. The struggle is real. You ain't even Black if you ain't struggling. Your lights got to come off first, then come talk to me. You know, you got to be in the dark first. You got to.
That ain't right. I don't get
the teeth got to fall. I mean, come on. This is
teeth. We got to have no damn teeth to have a hard fucking. Oops, sorry, Miss Mary. I'm so sorry.
And Mary,
have a hard time.
Right. And so again, you know, excuse me, my
that ain't it. That just ain't it. I'm gonna need. Okay, well, where is the therapist, Doctor? I need the therapist. I need to sit on the comfy couch because.
And so why are we expected? Why is that our expectation? Why is that our?
Because you said we were sick. Okay, so now we're sick. I don't think everybody listening is gonna want to admit that they're sick. I don't think they understand. I would have to say that I'm sick. I would be a fool to think that 100% of all of my way of thinking has not been altered in some way by propaganda,
listen, I was raised off songs that says, down and out, I've been abused and scorned, almost level. I'm messing this up, Clark sisters. Almost leveled to the ground, broken, bruised. And don't get me wrong, Paul said it. He was like, I was shipwrecked, I was beat by many. And then it was like, but we overcame. And so, maybe that's the story of our lives. Like
I don't want it to be the story. Like, I'm so beyond poverty. I want to know what life is like without a struggle. I want to know what life is like without pain. Why is that a bad thing? Why everybody else is kind of living that life? Why can't we live it? And so I want to know, like you said, okay, we talking prison systems, we talking trap houses. Hello. Do we say, how you say hello in sign language? I got to get the hello in sign language. I think this is like praise Jesus. Hallelujah. Somebody praise.
I took it for a little while.
What is it?
Trap. I gave you the letters. I did not do trap. Like I didn't do you with trap there.
Okay.
So please.
Yeah, that's
it's almost cultural. The trap mentality is cultural. It is certainly not housing projects with roaches running, because for a while, from the 80s to the 90s to 2000, we have had to hear about every roach from New York down to Compton back to Georgia. We've had to listen to, you were not Black unless you were poor. Your songs didn't even have validity. You couldn't even have street credit unless your lyrics, they started out like getting shot. You started out with gunshots. I remember the songs I listened to that started out with the gunshot. Yeah, that part.
The Biggie's number one, like, who shot you? And I love Big. Don't get me wrong. I'll be the first fool in there with the I'll be the first one in there like that.
Oh well, we know poor people. We so sorry for us, because we did The Righteous and Authority, and we started it out with like Tupac's. With Biggie Smalls, the 10 trap house. What is
10
that?
Crack Commandments.
The Crack Chronicles.
10 Crack Commandments.
So again, hey, come back. Some people leave and never come back. Come back.
I love Biggie. Okay, go ahead. See?
So, again, trap is a mentality. And now we went from overcoming to succumbing. The message went from we shall overcome to we have succumbed. Like, this is what we do now. Oh, I'm bougie, I'm ratchet, and I'm a savage. Now the women who needed respect. So Journal of Truth said, ain't I a woman? Now we're bougie, ratchet, and just a savage. And so that's why half of our women are not married, because now we're just basically giving ourselves to be sex symbols. We're talking about trap. We are literally so trapped until we're talking about our own demise. We're glorifying our demise. So you can't talk about, now the prison is not even just physical. It is mental.
It's mental.
And we have a market for it. We have a whole market for the trap. When you start talking about your women are savages.
So you telling me, okay, at the end of the day, if we know that this is a trap house, why do we go sell drugs? Why would we pimp? Why would we do things that will allow us to get into jail? Why do we continue to self-sabotage behaviors or show self-sabotaging behaviors? Why do we then glorify music that lends us to the trap house? It's like the Pied Piper. Why do we continue to? And then the only thing I can say is that we don't know. We don't know that we're being lured. We don't know that at the end of this thing, there's death and destruction. At the end of the thing, we have been laid as a trap. Despite of all and it's not like we don't know. I feel like we do know. We just don't know how to get out. We don't know other stuff to do because internally we're not fortified or built up to resist, or built up to fight another way, built up to build another way.
Well, you know, here's the thing. Let's just be honest. America told us we land at the home of the free. They didn't tell us our freedom can get us killed. The freedom didn't tell you that you could be incarcerated for the rest of your life. It just says you're free to do what you want. And that's what makes America so unique and so beautiful, is that you're not in a communist country or a religious country where they make you live a certain way or do a certain thing. You can do whatever you want to do. And you can actually market it. You can actually, even though it kills like half of your people or incarcerate half of your people, it doesn't matter. Listen, and then you had the freedom to, once you do it, to say he made the choice on his own. You gave your brother the drugs, but guess what? At the end of the day, he was responsible for himself. So that's what being free is all about. I don't have to be responsible. I don't have to be responsible for what I say or the lyrics I say, because guess what? You, your own person, either discipline yourself or, you know, join the ranks of this wonderful opportunity to do what you want to do. That is what being an American is all about.
But I do think that when we're talking trap houses and talking prison systems, and you have to look at the constructs that make these things the trap house. For example, okay, I have laid the trap for you. Here is the prison system or the jail system. Here it is. I have to ensure that you get there. I have to ensure that the trap that I've laid for you, that you actually walk the road. And so this is where I think people need to understand that the trap house by itself does not work by itself. It cannot work by itself. Because if you saw a house that was like a real trap house in a middle of a well-to-do, you know, Bel Air neighborhood, you would say, why is that there? That shouldn't be there. You sure enough ain't walking your tail up in there, because you don't belong there, because you saw it from happening from then. So if that is the case, what we do need to see is how the trap house works in tandem with other systems. So you have the jail. That's probably what they would call the criminal justice system. And that works in tandem with the legal system, because I have to then convict you based on our Constitution. I have to now convict you to even get into the trap house. Then before you even get to the legal system, I then need to make sure that what is police considered? I guess
controllers. Yay.
But part of the justice system.
So, yes, they are very much. They're the first. They're one of the first
line of defense. The first
lines of defense. Yeah. And you know, let's. I would like to slow that part down, because where most people are coming against the police department. The police departments are only, if we go back to slavery, they were the former patrollers, and they only did the bidding of the rich surplanters. So you have to ask yourself, who are today's rich surplanters? Who profits off of us being incarcerated?
Oh, no.
Who profits?
Pull it back.
Come on, because then you execute law enforcement to go and seize anybody who broke master's wishes or commands, because those wishes and commands don't come from your low educated white males who are police officers. That comes from the top. That comes from your rich rulers, your very few supplanters. So who are those?
Those are the people that invest in private prison industry.
Absolutely.
Those are those big, and then hello, God daggone it. You know, Miss Mary, I might have to curse before we get out at the end of this show, because she riling me up. It comes from your daggone banks. Your bank take your money. You put your money in your bank, and your bank take your money and invest. And some of them just recently, because your hand got caught in a cookie jar. So you recently take your money out with your little statement, we will no longer. Negroes, you just built the jails for like 50, 100 years. Right. Now all of a sudden you want to take your money out. Well, how about you go and put the money back that you just provided to destroy the community. So I don't think we want to drill that deep, because yes, that means you got to take your money out of the bank. Yes, that means you got to rule your own life from the inside. Don't call the damn police. You have to drain these systems.
Right, you have to drain them. And first of all, you have to find out who is the enemy. You know, I think you know, in most cases, the police does the dirty work for the bigger money launderers.
That's right.
And so because they're the physical in your face, the parts that you see with body cameras or cameras, who you don't see is the underworkings of your banking system and your Kellogg and Browns, the ones that are in multiple securities from here to Iraq and Iran and Dubai.
Right.
We're talking about, and those were, you know, brought on by the FBI. When they leave their government platforms, they go into the private sector to open up their businesses under what we call revolving door, where you go in the government and you come out. So let's, you know, this thing is huger than just trap house. It's who is doing the trapping and what mechanisms.
And I don't know if we're ready to see that. I don't think we're ready to. I don't think we're ready to see that, because I'm gonna promise you, police reform did not come from us. We were not the ones, and they sneaky like that. They create the problem and then create this false narrative for you to follow down another damn rabbit hole.
Absolutely.
Black folks did not create police reform. That is not even a terminology we would use.
That is correct.
We would not even say that.
I would say, come get the Klan. I would just say, come and get the Klan.
Come on now, we wouldn't even say that. So white folks making that crap up.
And at the end of the day, we know this, that you're not going to come and get what brings you money. So we should not even be asking an injustice system to do anything.
But
you know,
but be unjust. That's the only thing you could do.
That's the only thing you can do. And believe it or not, it's a cat and mouse game. You do any of it and all of it until you get caught. That's the real criminal justice system. There is no justice in being a criminal. All criminals do not get justice. So why are we even calling it criminal justice? Either you're a criminal or you're not. And guess what? All criminals I know, they operate until they are caught. And that is America.
And then
America,
those are the big criminals, the ones that, you know, set the trap. But, you know, you're going to put these little poor people, these little traumatized people. I'm just so nauseous. And I pray to God, I hope these people have a soul. I hope they have a spirit. I hope they can hear God, and I hope they repent. Because I remember reading, like, the God that gives eyes, does he not see? The one that gives ears, does he not hear?
Come on.
Like, if you think you're going to get out of this with all of that wickedness you've done, okay. And I'm like, Lord, if you don't vindicate your people, you don't vindicate your people now, like right now.
And you know, I love when you know, we talked about the fact that what makes you go into that. What makes you go into a trap house is self-inflicted injuries. When you don't see your way out of a door, you begin to internalize the pain. And instead of walking out of a problem, you start eating away at yourself. And you find
you're making it seem as though everybody who walks in the trap house is the victim, which I would also say that there are some of us, like you got 2 Chainz, you got all these, what's his name, Fetty Wap and all of them. They made and glorified this thing. They glorified being able to take crack cocaine, destroy families, and create monarchs and empires. I don't know why I got monarchs. I'm watching too much Game of Thrones. But they glorify being able to have taken something so deplorable and made themselves something. And I would then say, you won with master. You ain't no different.
Oh, well, you know, that is the whole, and that's the thing, because he is the standard. He is the epitome of success. And so, yes, there are people who want to be just like him. That's why I say to myself, when you talk about equality, certain things I don't want to be equal to. Do I really want to be equal with that? And if he is the standard of success, if he is the picture of what success looks like, then his gains now turn into our gains. We now become territorial.
I want to challenge this because I know that y'all hear sometimes I'll say white man and we say master and you automatically equate that to a white man. But I also want to go to the spirit of the man, because I don't think it matters what color or race that man is. It's the spirit of that. It's the nature of that creature, whoever that creature is. And that creature can be found, that nature can be found in Black, white, Hispanic,
That's right.
Jew, Asian, Native American. It could be all of those things. And I don't know if, I think because of Black, like if you look at Black Lives Matter, oh, we traumatized. How many of us are part of master's, slave chain on purpose?
Well, and let me say this, you have to recognize too, that that is the standard of success. The standard of success says that in order for you to be successful in America, you have to take on these characteristics. You have to do it this way. You have to capitalize off he is not your brother. He is someone that you can capitalize off of. So the music, that's just one way. But, anytime you're marking toilet paper in the middle of a crisis, anytime you take medication and you triple the amount because the people need it the most, that's capitalism.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a trap. That is legalized traffic. The only difference is ours is not legal.
And here's the crazy part. Ooh, I feel God. I feel God. I don't think at the end of the day, we want to realize how much of this system we uphold, that we are. From your legal system, you call yourself a legal and a defender of justice. You can't. Be in an unjust system. You are a forerunner for injustice. You are a forerunner for injustice. I will call all lawyers. I don't care what book you tout, that trickery. I've been there, done that. And I thank God that God didn't allow me to be engulfed in that thinking.
Absolutely.
Because both of us went to law school to become lawyers because we knew that we could think like that. But God was like, no, you will not. And, the trickery, the loop. This is what, like, it's, as long as you could kind of continue to play this game, be Molly, that's not justice.
It's not.
That's not justice. And so for all my lawyers out there, I don't care who you fighting for on what end, you still fighting in an unjust system.
Absolutely.
You are a forerunner. You might, and guess what? A house divided cannot stand.
That's right.
You cannot be for and against at the same time. You for the law. That's why you became law.
Right.
And now you call yourself defending the poor. Listen, how you going to, I know you don't defend the poor, because if you defended the poor, well, you're doing a really effed up job.
Hey, Mary. Hey, Mary. I call her Mary.
Call that Mary. Mary, I said effed up. I want to say something else. But because you don't call me and tell me not to curse, I can't curse. I want to curse. So I might as well curse. It's in my heart. I ain't going to get no cred from heaven. I ain't getting no heaven cred for
not
cursing.
Well, again, you can't dismantle something that you get paid to uphold.
Ooh, shut up.
And so, I was offered, a seat at the table of the devil's diner. And, lucky for me, I escaped his seduction, because that's what that's what this is about. Getting educated enough to sit at the table with thieves and to continue the criminality.
He said, shun the appearance of evil. Come from out of her. So I don't know what we doing.
Right. So, we flock. We got the church even flocking to, the judges this and the attorneys that came. He's at my church. Yes. But behind closed doors, all they do is legalize thievery. They've legalized, death and destruction. And all you had to do is get
conflict of interest. Like,
come on, you
want to hold us accountable to a conflict of interest, but the feds will pay the state's money to incarcerate. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if somebody say police reform, I might want to smack them.
Right. Yeah, I hate those words. I hate criminal justice reform.
Yes,
How you gonna,
that's
you know,
the
and
right,
I'm
that's that spirit. That's that spirit trying to loop you and seduce you. There's no such thing.
there's no such thing as criminal justice reform. And let me say this, even when people say, you know, I'm gonna go back to the word that I know, the general statute that I know called the Bible, when he told us that he came to make the crooked places straight and to set at liberty those that are bruised. So you talk about crooked. He ain't talk about criminal. God talked about the crooked. He was gonna make straight. And so here's the thing: we have to recognize that the system that we live in really gives you a license to be crooked. You can never be whole if you've given a license to be crooked.
Whenever you want to.
Whenever you wanted to. You know, come on. At the end of the day, when he tells you thou should not kill, then how did you go get a gun? You can't say you're
in the name of your what amendment is that? The right to
your right. See, in God you don't have no right. In righteousness you don't have a right. You don't have a right unless you decided that you own something. You own yourself, you own your property, you own everything. You got to remember, when you got here, you own nothing. And when you leave, you own nothing. So the illusion that you own something, you're here to protect something. There is nothing here that belongs to you. You're just servants. You're just stewards over it. And so the lie is so large, the lie. So now you do anything to sell your soul to get a piece of something you'll never own. You can buy it today and they'll have eminent domain tomorrow to take everything you have.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
you
this
know,
is a peeling away. This is a, you know, most people eventually, you know, our job is just to loose the truth, loose it, you know, put it out there. But eventually, you know, some, not many will hear this. They will think it's rhetoric, foolery. They will not see it. Their hearts will not allow them to peel everything away, like be stripped down. But guess what, honey? If you ain't see where we at right now, globally, nationally, regionally, locally, we are walking into the rubble. If you haven't heard the sound of the falling, if you haven't, you know, just don't let this be you, that you upheld the system because you were a part of it, right?
Right.
And then you get your little hand is shown in the rocks. You got rocks all in the rubble, and your two little press-on nails is off because you done tried to claw your way out.
Right.
But you still caught. And I say lead press-ons because you try to host a lead press-on when who still wear lead press-ons? Them things are so old, but just as this whole entire thing that we walking in is an old thing. We're going into a new thing.
Absolutely.
And
you can't hold on to it. And so, you know, and it
takes
God. It takes God.
Yes.
Actually, it takes God.
True.
And you know, and we have to be honest. It also takes war. If you look at, we war in our flesh. That's where the biggest fight is. We war in our flesh. And if you'll notice, if we don't see it in the flesh, most of us do not pay it any attention. The George Floyd case, we had to see it in the flesh. We had to see it before our very eyes. God could have just told us on our own. He could have just warned us. That would have been.
I don't even think we still saw it, because right after that, you had nothing but police reform. But interestingly so, that right after George Floyd, you didn't stop seeing people getting choked out in the street. You still see them today.
Yes, absolutely.
The only now is a big deal. Should have been a big deal back when Rodney King got his tail beat, or even further down when this spirit man was doing all of this stuff behind the curtain. But now there's repercussions. Now they get fired. Now,
right?
They ain't get fired with Trayvon and Eric Gardner and all of them. They ain't get fired then. Yeah, but now that people done went in the streets and went ham.
Right. Now that's the only thing they understand is violence. You know, and I will laugh when I say the kingdom of God suffered violence, and the violent take it by force, which is a little scary. But, you know, do we actually get it? Do we really know how to obey? Do we hear the voice of God and just immediately say, you know what?
No, they don't. We don't.
No, we got to be trapped. We got to go to war. And, you know, war is legal. So let's get it in.
And I will also tell you the seduction, beware of the seductions on all levels, the seductions of not just our legal system, the police system, but also the religious systems that rock you to sleep and think that you can just be good and do good, and good is all that is required. Right. Good ain't got nothing to do with righteous. It ain't got nothing to do with God. You could do good by, anything could be classified as good. Hell, the damn prison system's classified as good.
Really, it is.
Like arresting criminals off the street, that's good. Come on now. I'm gonna need us to get to know the difference and separate ourselves and start to peel back, just start peeling it away.
Right.
And then just surrender all. At the end of the day, you surrender all, because if you rule from the law from the inside, you ain't got to be ruled from a law from an outside.
That's true.
And so drain the systems, drain them, dry.
Drain it dry.
Make them go on a drought. You ain't got to cut the money from their budgets. Just don't show up in they goddamn courtrooms. Just don't show up in they M&F's.
That's Mechanics and Farmers Bank, everybody.
M&F's.
M&F's.
Yeah, I was going to say something else, but just don't show up. Don't show up to court. Don't be in the courts. Don't show up. Don't get arrested.
Right.
You get away from, if he be in your ass, get away, move away. Don't let him go. Don't you go. Don't sell the drugs. Don't do those things that will get you into, like, let's drain them. And
listen, hold these people accountable in your communities. Yeah. Our communities have to go back to being self-sufficient, and communities again. We are not an island unto ourselves. Our job is to go back and make sure our families are whole and complete, that we're not just having children just to have them, and then, we can't tend to them, and they're out here doing all kind of damageable things. Then they get shot by people who don't love, and on both sides of the field, and no one's coming to rescue our kids. They're coming to.
Could you imagine if, like, all the drug dealers, and I ain't talking about the other ones on the higher level, the cartels, the mafias, I ain't talking about them, and the government, the CIA, and all the FBI agents that's in cahoots with that. I watch Queen of the South, I know. I watch Mafia, I know. But what I'm saying is, like, what could you imagine if all the little drug dealers around here, Big King, Little Titty Tata, Big, Tigger, all of those, and
Titty Tata, okay.
Titty Tata. Could you imagine?
It gotta be from Virginia with a name like Titty Tata. Okay.
Titty Tata, Big Titty Tata. Could you imagine that, though, real talk, if they just say, you know what, we're not gonna sell no more drugs. We just not gonna sell it. Go get your drugs. And all the little zombies, I could go out my house right across the street, not too far, and they got a whole little park community where it's like a bus stop. They done transform into a house, literally, and they just be knocked out all day on that K2, whatever they got going on. One sleep on this way, one down, head down, one knocked out. They sleep in the street. They sleep on the sidewalk, titties out, butt ass naked, laid out in the street, gone. Somebody sold them that. But imagine if they couldn't even get those drugs no more. You know what I'm saying? How much more accountable would we really, really be one to another? Now, I know that probably would never happen. Somebody's always going to take advantage of your pain. That is what people need to know. If you got pain, there's somebody out here that's going to take advantage of it.
Washington, D.C., you all. Live on Washington, D.C.
That's live, Washington, D.C. I swear. Sometimes I think, did I just see that? Is that a real thing?
I did.
Did I die?
When I drive up, I'm like, okay, guys.
Yeah, you've been up here. I ain't never seen nothing like what's up in here. It's like, it's Beauty and the Beast at the same time.
Absolutely.
It's Beauty and the Beast at the same time. But at the end of the day, I think on our next podcast, we'll talk about public housing and how public housing is another trap house. And then really how these two systems play off each other, and not even just these two systems, but all the systems, they're interconnected.
They really are.
And us being able to identify you know, what role we play in the whole shenanigans. And how to not play the role no more if you don't want to. I mean, if I was you,
You know
I
what?
would be trying to find an exit plan.
And how to come cut the strings from the puppeteers.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to.
Well, you know, here's the thing we have to also remember is that we have to stop playing defense as well. We have to go after, you know, we have to pursue. David pursued his enemies. And I think most of us, you know, when I'm talking to many of the young men and just trying to keep up with where they are, not what they're doing as much as where they are in their lives, a lot of them say, Miss Kim, I'm staying out of the way. That terminology says that I am trying to live trap free. Well, that's a defensive speaking mechanism whereby you're just trying to stay out of the way. Stay out of the way from who? Who are you constantly running from? Who is trying to capture you? And so really when you're righteous, you're supposed to be pursuing.
Come on now. How about that?
Offering. I need my offering.
I'm going to give you an offer. How about this?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 10 crack commandments. What?
Okay.
I can't. That was not the offering I was looking for.
Oh, what?
So
I need to repent. I'm going to repent because I shouldn't even be boasting. I'm over here talking this stuff and then this dude here.
She is not. She will listen to this tomorrow and still be.
I'm going to still repent and say, Lord,
help her.
The track.
Let's just say
it's the track. They laced it with, they seduced it with that hot ass track.
Right. So somebody please help my beloved sister.
I'm sorry, but I ain't gonna go out there and do it. I might listen, but I ain't no fool. You ain't gonna see me selling no crack.
Well, you know, here's the thing. We live and die by the power of our words. So when those words go out, it's those words that kill us first. When we promote and when we do propaganda, whether we touch it or not, we've already endorsed it when it goes out into the atmosphere. So remember, it's the power of our words. It's not so much just the physical. It's also spiritual. Remember. So again.
Don't take my biggie away, please, please. Oh God, no, please.
Don't take a trap house away. Not
that. Oh gosh. Oh Jesus.
I love it. Well, you know what? It's just as real as, you know, really good cornbread. I mean, cornbread is good. It can kill you too, but guess what? I think sometimes
Jesus.
It's so bitter but sweet to the soul, and that is dangerous for us. But you know, again, you know, we are learning how to turn this sharp curve, and hopefully we'll come out.
Okay, just one more time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's the 10 crack commandments. What?
Okay.
I'm out. I've already signed off America.
I'm gone. I'm sorry. They like she's so silly.
You can bring Nas on now.
Yeah. We can do
If I rule the world, I free all my sons. I will.
I rule.
Some of his lyrics there, I don't know if I want to endorse those.